Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Gloria Bashir. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's Talim. On behalf of Imam Tariq El-Amin, Resident Imam of Masjid Al-Taqwa, the Talim Committee, chaired by Dr. Aesha El-Amin, and my colleague on the committee as well is Dr. Lionel Allen Jr. Um, I want to welcome you to today's Talim titled Honoring Legacy Through Service. And we too have two wonderful, wonderful presenters today. This is a mother-daughter duo. I'm so excited to have them present. But first, before we get going, let us first open Talim with Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath, and who go not astray. Amin.
Amen.
So
Amen.
again, today's topic is honoring legacy through service. And the presenters are my dear sister, Aisha Muhammad El-Amin, and her daughter, Ayanna El-Amin. And this dynamic duo they have a wonderful presentation. So just as a little bit of a recap, several weeks ago, I gave a presentation about caring for the caregiver. And so today we're going to delve into more about, caregiving and things that we can do to support the person in need of care. Okay. So just for your own notes, these two dynamic women, they have a lot of information. So feel free to note things if you need to and give them your full attention. Our programs are recorded. So I welcome all of you to go to Masjid Al-Taqwa's YouTube channel. If you've not already, please subscribe. And here we go. So, Sister Aisha, I'm going to let you kick it off, okay?
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Aisha, please give your background, okay? I want to let you introduce yourself and give your background.
Okay, I am Aisha Muhammad El-Amin. I have a master's in management. I oversee several behavior health programs within the emergency room of several hospitals, Endeavor Health, UI Health, University of Illinois, Providence Hospital, along with Cook County Hospital. And I'm also part of the criminal justice system. I work with the criminal justice court system for people who have criminal behavior, addictions being driven by their criminal behavior. So I'm in several different courts within the city of Chicago for Cook County Drug Court Program. So that's just some of my background for what I do in my regular job from 9 to 5. Okay. 8 to 3, 7 to 3, that. Okay. So anyway, Gloria, Ayanna and I wanted to be able to talk today about caring through cancer. My youngest daughter, walking beside my youngest daughter with faith, strength, and love. My youngest daughter, Halima Muhammad, was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer in 2017. Okay. From that, I quickly realized that my role as a mother was expanding into something far greater than I had even imagined. I had to
Your
prepare
next slide,
myself.
Aisha. Go to your next. Go down.
Go to my
You have,
next,
you have
next
to
slide.
click on your next slide. Yeah, remember
Okay,
not
thank
to
you,
click.
sweetie. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, my youngest daughter was metastatic breast cancer. Okay. I quickly realized I had to prepare myself emotionally, physically, and spiritually for the role that was ahead of me. This was a new journey for me that I had never ventured before, and I didn't know what this would necessarily look like for me. At this point, I realized that now I had to realize what was going to happen for my home, my schedule, priority shifts as we begin this journey together. From the very first oncologist consultant, I understand that a doctor's appointment would be no longer be an occasional visit. Occasionally you go to the doctor here and there, but an occasional visit. but as a regular part of my routine, I had to learn new medication terminology. Anytime someone is fighting a disease, the first thing we have to do is understand what the doctor is prescribing for your family member. And I would research, I would look up, I would find information out. I would just want to be able to know what was going on because the more knowledge I had, the more empowered I felt to be able to understand what's going on. Um, I had to keep track of all the medications. I had to follow up on her appointments. Every situation, I had to have every little details, writing notes, asking questions, and advocating in clarity so that we could make informed decisions together. So that was a whole different lifestyle for me and my family that I had to be able to go to this journey with her to figure out how am I going to go down these paths with her? How am I going to figure out her scheduled appointments, her medication, understand what the doctor is saying, and understand the process that we have to go through. Okay. Okay. So we talked about just briefly how we had to manage her medication. The doctor will prescribe medication for anyone who's fighting a disease, and it's to your best interest to be able to just understand what what these medications are for, what the side effects may be, because every medication will have side effects. And then we had to support nutrition. We have to understand what do her nutrition need to look like for her? Do we need to now keep her hydrated? Her rest routine, what would that look like? And we had to balance every day, you know with being quiet, patient, and being encouraged through your faith that you have to be able to work do this. It's not something you're going to be able to fix in like a day or two or whatever. This becomes a lifestyle change for us. And I had to coordinate my whole household. I had to look at how my house will look at this point with her having medical visits back and forth. If the nurse had to come to our house, if she had to get a certain amount of rest during the course of the day, we would have to be able to know everything about our life would change for us because this became a daily healthcare at home because everything was not necessarily managed in the hospital, but a lot of this was managed within our home. And so it made things look a lot different for us. Okay. We'll go to my next slide. Okay. Great. I need to move you guys over here so I can see what's going on. Okay. Okay. I had to attend every doctor visit. Halima would never go to the doctor alone. I had to attend every doctor visit with her. I had to organize my notes and ask detailed questions. I learned medication terminology. People will say to me sometimes, how do you know all that stuff? That wasn't something that I went to school for, but this is something I had to learn because I had to learn how am I going to be able to understand this terminology and me being a layman in the medical field, even though I tell everybody all the time I work in healthcare because I do work in behavioral health, that I had to be able to learn these different terminologies for them. I had to track treatment results. Everyone now, they have this new, well, it's not new, it's called My Chart, where you have an opportunity to be able to know what's going on in your medical records. You can see everything in your medical records. You can see the doctor's notes. You can see the medication. You can see everything that's related to the medical condition, even if you're in the hospital. If you're in the hospital and you have My Chart, you can follow everything that goes along in My Chart. You can see when the nurses change shift. You can see prescriptions as they're being prescribed. You can see medication as they're being prescribed. If the patient is taking it, has taken, or have not taken. And you can track test results. Test results was really cruel to me because I give kudos to Dr. Ramadan because every time a test results would come back and I didn't understand what's going on, I could consult with Dr. Ramadan and he could tell me what was going on and what their test results mean. So what it does, it just empower you and help you to understand that you have to know what's going on with the test results because if her blood was low, then I would know that. I would know that before the doctor even called me, and then I can advocate in her behalf and begin to move forward in what needs to happen for her. Okay. Um, Organized medication and timing. Ayanna and them would laugh at me sometimes because I was so thorough in that. I would write her name down, the date, the time the medication was given, and when the next dose was due. So you could do that in My Chart as well as keeping your own personal notes for that. And through this whole process, you have to stay spiritually grounded because it becomes so difficult for you. It's just a challenge. And your whole life has changed. You have to stay calm and you have to stay ready to advocate in behalf of your family member. Me advocating for Halima was a task that a skill that I knew that I had, but I never thought I would be using in that matter because anytime anything changed for her, if the doctor prescribed a medication and the insurance denied the medication, that means I had to go to bet against the insurance company to let them know that guess what, we want this medication prescribed, and I would constantly elevate it. I would constantly elevate it, and if someone told me no, then I think I'm talking to the wrong person. And through Allah's grace and mercy, I was able to advocate in her behalf. And anytime they said they didn't want to give her medication, and some medication was like $13,000 a month. I know that seems like a lot of money for a person, but it wasn't a lot of money for the insurance company. So I would advocate in her behalf to ensure that guess what, that they made sure that my baby had the medication she needed as we begin to fight this disease. Okay. Um, what's the next?
Make
Okay,
sure you're on the right side.
okay, let's go to the next slide. Ayana's navigate me through this rap. Okay. Um, okay, we've covered, we've managed the medication. We have monitored the side effects. So we did supportive nutrition. We also balance coordinated what happened within our home. And so we've been able to do all that. Okay. Okay. Our spiritual foundation, you had to learn deeply into your faith, staying prayerful, reading your scripture, trusting in Allah. You have to speak words of assurance and hope when fear grew loud. No matter what the doctor would say to me or to Halima, I would always come up with something positive. If a doctor gave me some negative information, then I would tell myself, I can't talk to that doctor any longer because I need to talk to someone where I can stay positive in this because I wouldn't allow this to be able to control my life like this, with a point where I didn't think that she would get better than this, better from this. But even though I knew she was fighting this disease, I knew it was metastatic breast cancer. Breast cancer, if a family member ever is diagnosed with breast cancer, know what kind of cancer that it is. All breast cancer are not the same. HER2 positive, HER2 negative. It's different kinds of breast cancer. So learn that term. So don't walk away just knowing, well, she's got breast cancer and that's it, because that's not final for it, because you have to understand the kind of cancer that they have and know how to be able to treat that specific kind of cancer. Halima went through when she was originally diagnosed, because she was so young, they wanted her to take her eggs in the event that she wanted to have a child. So we went through that process. That was a whole different process itself, for to go through that so you can return your eggs in the event that you want to have children, because she was so young. So you have to understand everything that goes on. We used to have to go to the doctor 6 o'clock in the morning for a week straight for them to do blood tests on her. So, and I say this to anybody, I can be an advocate for you if you want information in reference to what I've gone through when it came to Halima fighting this disease. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I have a wealth of information, even when it comes to insurance. Um, and Halima had insurance at her job, but for a certain kind of medication, insurance would not cover it. So I went to bat with the state trying to get Halima Medicare and Medicaid. And I was told several times that, oh, you can't get Medicare and Medicaid at the same time. But I knew some people had it, so I kept calling, kept calling. I was relentless. I did not give up on that. And I remember I called the lady the second time or third time. She said, "Didn't you call this morning?" I said, "Yes, I did." And I'm calling back again. She said, "Hold on. There's specific programs for specific diseases in the state of Illinois." Illinois has a pretty good foundation for covering diseases. And they did not want to, everyone kept telling me, no, no, no. But no wasn't an answer that worked for me, because I know she needed both of those insurance, Medicaid and Medicare, for me to keep her covered so she can get and she'll get the medication and medicine every time she needed. So every time she would have a trip by ambulance to the hospital, or she's in the hospital, that was never time where she could not get was medically appropriate for her. So know that you can do that. It's not an easy task to do, and I think people wasn't just saying no. I think people was operating because they really didn't know. Everyone doesn't have all the answers. Even when you call Social Security and you ask a question, one person may know something that someone else doesn't know. So I would never give up. I was very relentless about that, not giving up on making sure that she had the medication. They changed the medication from one medication to another one, and that was another $20,000 a month. They didn't want to do it. They wanted the doctor to prescribe something else, but I stayed the case on it. All the way to the governor's office. I wasn't playing about making sure that Halima had all the medical services she needed in order for her to be able to fight this disease of metastatic breast cancer. Let me go here. Okay. Okay. Beyond the schedule and the checklist, let me move this around here. I chose present. presenter. I was her caregiver. I was her advocate. I advocated for her, and I was her mother. With every step, I offered steady love, hope, and courage, like a butterfly rising. We kept moving toward the light. So I just want to be able to let everyone know that being a caretaker, and Gloria talked about this, it's not an easy task, but it's a task you take on when you have love and care for a family member, that you don't give up easy. You learn what you need to do to be able to advocate in their behalf. You continue to fight for them. You continue to support them through that. You continue to pray with them, and you continue to give them the best energy that you have. And so Gloria asked me just to come aboard and be able to do this, to talk to the believers in the community about what my journey was like when Halima was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. If anyone
Thank you.
have any
Thank you so much, Aisha. I mean, those were very, very important words. And we're gonna have some questions for you afterwards.
okay.
But I want you to stop sharing now so that Ayanna can share. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And Ayanna is gonna share. There you go.
Yep.
Perfect. And Ayanna, I'm so very proud of you. You're doing some wonderful things. So I want you to introduce what you're doing, because I won't do justice. So I want you to.
So Ayanna Muhammad, I am the oldest of Aisha's daughters, Halima's older sister. I'm currently, I originally work in IT. I have a master's in information systems management, and I'm enrolled at Purdue University to get my doctorate degree. My dissertation is going to be on bridging the digital divide, understanding like how here's a prime example. My mom works on computers all day, but there's a divide there in doing Zooms and things like that. So that's what my goal is how do we eliminate that when you're having people that clearly need to understand it and use it, and they're learning to work it the best way they can. So that's what my digital divide, my dissertation will be on. Hopefully I will be defending it in about a year and a half. I have a little bit more time to go. So but as Halima's older sister, I tried to turn my pain into purpose. So I started the Go Ham Foundation. Ham, ironically, is Halima's initials. And when she was going through chemo, that's what we would always be like, go ham, which is you basically just go hard, right? Like, this is what we're doing. We're here and we're going to do it. So this foundation is empowering cancer patients with support and resilience. I'm just going to go over basically the foundation itself, why the loving memory of Halima, the mission, the vision, leadership. We've done some impactful things in 2024. We had a couple of milestones in 2025, and I'm going to let you guys know what we're going to be doing in 2026, and then how you can also get involved with the foundation. So as you all know, Halima was a sister teacher. She was an inspiration. She was only 38 years old when she passed away. She was diagnosed, I want to say when she was either like 31 or 32, but I cannot remember the exact age. She fought with grace. She lived with purpose. And that's why this Go Ham Foundation exists, to extend all of those assets about Halima. She was the baby of the family. Um, I mean, people knew her as this teacher. She was a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and all of these things and these wonderful things that people knew about Halima. I just knew she wouldn't keep our room clean when we was little, and it really made me mad. But there was a lot of other wonderful things about her, but that's what I'm always going to remember because she's my baby sister. Um, One of the reasons that this foundation has to exist is because of disparities. Like I talked about, there's disparities in technologies, there's financial disparities. As my mom mentioned, with insurances and things like that, we're at an age right now where insurance is literally dictating your treatment. They're not just treating you because the doctor said so. Insurances are deciding whether or not you get it. And then also with different things like that, it's like Halima was a teacher. So in most jobs, you have vacation, you have PTO, you have FMLA, you have sick days. Well, what do you do when you run out of those days? Your paycheck is short. All of your bills are still due. And the beautiful part about it was Halima had us. I think at the time I was probably working remote 100% because it was right after COVID. So I could do that. And I was working like 3 full-time jobs. So I was able to help Halima with certain things. And everybody doesn't have that. And that's what I want this foundation to be for other people. And that's what our commitment is to ensure that you're getting that financial assistance that you need. And our goal is for you not to have to be late We live in a capitalistic society. So the mortgage company is going to help you when you are 3 months behind. That is not what the goal of the Go Ham Foundation is. If your mortgage is due on the first and we have it for you on the first, we're going to pay it for you on the first. I don't want you to be behind. I don't want you to have that stress because, as we know, stress only festers, and that's what cancer feeds off of. And that's our whole vision, is to remove that financial burden that people face when they're going through this journey of cancer. And as my mom mentioned the word journey, we don't like to use the word fight because someone doesn't always win a fight. This is a journey. And what we want is for everybody not to be financially burdened on their journey. Our vision is to be leading the foundation. I think everybody on this call has probably heard of Susan G. Komen. I don't know her, but she's somebody's sister. So I feel like if I have to know their sister, then they should know my sister. So I feel like the Go Ham Foundation can be as big as Susan G. Komen in doing these financial things. I don't want to be a president and CEO of a foundation and I'm getting a $1.5 million bonus. I want our foundation to work at a 70-30, which is 70% of the funds that we bring in will be going out to help patients. The other 30% will be just keeping the lights on. That's what my goal is for this foundation. The board of directors, I have brought together all of the people who were there, who loved Halima, who helped with everything that we do. So I myself am the president and the CEO. Sadiq Ibn, or Sadiq Muhammad, he's the vice president. Rakaya, who works she is in accounting. So of course I put her over my treasury. Our cousin Rajia, she is the secretary. And as you can see, my mom, she's an advocacy director. And she fits perfectly because, again, she has me on another presentation that I knew nothing about. And that is what her role is. And that is what she's always doing. So what we've done so far with the foundation in 2024, what I did was I talked to everybody and we decided that one of the things is that children go through this. And Arthur M. Blank is a huge children's hospital here in the Atlanta area. So we put together motivational coloring books, playing cards, games. We had little comfort things like socks. We had wristbands, and we put these bags together and we gave these bags out to the Arthur M. Blank Hospital for children to have. So like one of the things is like when you're going through chemo, you're cold. So giving them the fuzzy socks that have the Go Ham Foundation on there, the motivational coloring books, which kept kids busy while you're sitting there. So that was something we do. Unfortunately, we could not go in. So in this picture here was a young lady that was coming off of the floor to help with the donation and allowing us to be able to do that with that Arthur M. Blank Hospital. The other event we had here in Atlanta, which is very big, which is pickleball. So we had a pickle and pink tournament. I partnered with Lifetime Fitness, which is a huge gym, and we were able to get a tournament going. We had Lifetime was pretty much like the sponsor, so we're allowed to have it at their event. Again, we had giveaways, which a lot of times you're thinking we're a grassroots foundation and we're spending money on giveaways, but it's what brings notoriety to the organization. It allows people to know I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2025. I am cancer free. However, one of the big things that I had was one of my doctors or nurse practitioners from where I was being treated. She came to the pickleball tournament because she was a huge pickleball fan. And then my doctor has also said that when we get ready to do our second annual one, she wants to be a sponsor for that too. So just building those, bridging those gaps and making those connections is where we're at. That's what's up next for us, is to have our second annual Pickle and Pink tournament, which we're going to be having this October in 2026. I'm currently getting ready to start sending out sponsorship letters for the event. There is a code on the screen. If you guys have your phone, you can go ahead and scan that code. It'll take you to the donation page. Every little bit of a donation helps. The other thing is I will, right after this, show the website where you can also go. If you don't want to put in credit card information on the website, the email address to the organization, which is support@goham.org, and I'll place that in the chat as well. You can also Zelle some payments to that also. So that is the end of the presentation, but what I will show you is the website. So let me stop sharing and pull the website up. And like I said, I have a background in IT. So I'm really proud of the website because I went through and changed it. So it's a lot better than it was. So this is our homepage. Right now, we are an official 501(c)(3). My goal in 2026 is to raise $25,000. Right now we're roughly at about five, but I still got time. I got time. I know it. I know I'm gonna do it. I'm not even worried about it. We have our second annual pickleball event. What we have here is if you wanted to become a sponsor, we do have different sponsor tiers. The 5,000, of course, that gives you all the bells and whistles, names on the shirts, all of the good things. We'll have a banner up with your information. We have the 2,500 tier, which a little less things. Silver is $1,000. We did a call before, and there was a brother on the call that said he was going to match $1,000 donation. So I'm hoping to get an exact $1,000 donation so I can reach out to that brother and that brother can match my $1,000 donation. That is what I'm looking forward to. I don't want to be the one to make the $1,000 donation. But yeah, and then we also have 500, which is bronze or in kind. And again, any donation helps. If it's $20, that $20 is helping. We have a sister right now that has completed our form here, which is the Get Help, where you can apply for assistance. She did come out on our website. She completed the form, um, uploaded a bill that she was wanting us to pay. The bill is a little bit higher than we would need right now because we're a grassroots organization. But I'm speaking with her. I'm working with my treasurer, and we're trying to see what we can do to help this sister because I really want to do something for her. And as we continue to grow, I will add out here the people that we're helping. I'm going to start having it where you can start scrolling and seeing the sponsors. So when you do donate, if you want your name to be seen, why you need to donate, what I'm really looking forward to is having people that have been affected and it's not just breast cancer. Let me be very clear. If you're on the journey of cancer, is what I want. And our rules for assisting you is that you've been in treatment for 366 days and that you're asking us to pay a bill that's in your name. Understanding that you may be married, that's something that we would talk about, negotiate within email, but that right now is the rules of our organization. But I do plan on having it to where you're going to be seeing people if you want to donate on behalf of someone and things like that. We're gonna grow to that and we're gonna get there. And then last but not least would be the donate page. So here you have contact us, where you can send us an email, ask us questions, sign up for our emailing list and our newsletters. And then we have the donate page, which you can come here. It is secure. We will not be holding your information and storing it. And we have that all written in our privacy policy on the website as well. And then I'm going to stop sharing so I can put in the chat a couple of the things that I went over, which would be the website.
Excellent. Excellent.
And also our Zelle.
Okay. That was fantastic. So I'm going to ask that if there are any questions, please raise your virtual hand, and we are happy to entertain any questions that you have. This was a really good information, Ayanna. I'm very, very proud of you, and it's good information. For some of you, and please feel free to jump in if you don't have questions and you just have comments, because many of you on this Zoom meeting today, you knew Halima as well. And so Halima was in my home many, 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 many times, many days with my daughters. And I spent much time in her home and her mother's home when she was going through her battle. So this is, really kind of important to me too. So
yes, you never showed up without bringing us food. We loved it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So are there any questions or about the foundation, or just questions for Ayanna or Sister Aesha with regard to their own experience and journey? I was there for a lot of it, so yeah, I understood the battle. Yes, yes, yes. So let me see the chat. Okay, we have the foundation information, the Zelle information in the chat. Feel free to copy that. And if you are so moved, please make a donation. And as Sister Ayanna said, no donation is too small. And we know that as a community mosque, that we are not, we're not a community full of CEOs and folks making a lot of money, right? But
Yeah.
yet, yes, yeah, exactly. One thing I do want to say, which is very interesting, because Ayanna, what you talked about was the disparity, in terms of resources, right? And so I work in clinical trials, and I've worked with a lot of breast cancer patients, not treating breast cancer per se, but treating the side effects of the chemo.
Yes.
And what I learned was that many of the patients that I worked with who were African American, they knew nothing about other resources and services.
Yeah, that's
Nothing.
also what I plan on doing on the website, is having a resource page. And I'm
Yes,
working on gathering those resources. I've found a lot on the internet, but I want to make those connections before I add them to our website. But that was a key thing in understanding that there's a lot of things, like one of the things Halima did was she had cold caps. And most women don't know that cold caps even exist. And so they're just like, oh, well, losing your hair is just part of the journey. And it doesn't have to be. Halima's the only person I know that went and got locks done before she started chemo and had locks after chemo. And yes, did she lose her eyebrows? Did she lose her eyelashes? Yes, but that girl kept her locks. And those are the types of things that people are unaware, that one of my best friends who went through, she was like, I didn't even know that they did that. I was like, yeah, they do. So she was really shocked about that. So I do plan on touching base with you and trying to get some of those resources and ensuring that we have a resource page, because if we can't financially help you, how can we point you in the right direction to do those things? Also, I think another big resource would be, when you're on the journey with someone, you're on the journey with someone. So you need
absolutely.
your personal resources as well. And I think that that's something too that needs to be looked at a lot as well. Yep.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I learned about in terms of resources, that a lot of my Caucasian patients, they knew there's breast cancer camp, there's breast cancer row clubs. I mean, it was all kinds of really wonderful activities, but the African American patients had no awareness of
Meet
any.
and greets. They have a meet and greets. I've seen like I say, pickleball is big here. I saw one time online they had the bald and beautiful event where, and all of these women that have gone through it and have lost their hair, they're all there and they're having this huge celebration. And I feel like we can do something very similar to where, we scarf and hijab, like, let's show you how to tie it, let's show you how to put it on, and those types of things. So they're unaware of them, and I think that it's our responsibility to start creating them and making our community more aware.
Yes, absolutely. And with regard to the cold caps, I actually was just, bored and just, flipping through the channels and came across this program, and one of the characters had breast cancer. And so they were in a treatment in the infusion room, and they had on the cold cap. And I'm like, I only know about Halima, who've
Yeah,
ever had a cold cap.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's crazy.
right. And so, a young lady that I know, she recently completed her last chemo. And, she had lost all of her hair, and she had long, beautiful hair. And I'm saying, and I didn't know her that well, so it wasn't like I was in direct communication with her. But it's like, and this woman's an attorney. And it's like, no one told
How
you about
did you not
cold
do?
caps.
How did you not know about gold caps?
No
Right.
one told you about cold caps. I mean, she lost every strand of her hair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, there are a lot of resources, and that is my hope that the GoHam Foundation will be able to really put their fingers on as many resources as possible out there. And there
Oh,
was Something that came in the chat.
Yeah, henna designs on bald heads events. That is, yeah. So and those are the types of things where when I have my resource page, when I get there, I want to have different categories of resource because I think the Halima's thing was she didn't want to look like a
A
cancer.
cancer patient. Right.
And we as Black people, we strive at not looking like what we going through. Like we aim for that. And I think that's that category that we have to come up with because the thing is what happens is a lot of women lose weight. How can we transfer these clothes? Because now these don't fit. You can't financially go out and buy a whole new wardrobe because you're spending money on medical bills. So how do we get that and get that circle going and doing those things? I think it's a huge platform and an opportunity here. And I'm just taking it piece by piece by piece to break it down. But because like I said, I've gone to the Susan G. Komen website and the plethora of resources that they have. They do the 5K. I've done that walk before, that 3-day breast cancer walk, and I had to raise $2,300, me by myself. So when you think about it, every woman that did that walk had to raise $2,300. And when we did it in Atlanta, and it was like almost, I want to say it may have been like 20 years ago. I don't even know how long ago it was, but they said they raised 6 point something million dollars. That's a lot of money. And then you
That's a
have to
lot.
ask yourself, who are they helping?
Right.
And where is it going? It's going to research. Well, I want it to go to the people. So that's
Or the CEO
yeah.
who walks away with a fat check. Right.
Yeah, that too.
Sorry, I want to add this for people who
Yes.
there's some sisters in the community I know now that have daughters who are fighting a breast cancer now. And some people, I mean, that's your own personal journey, and everyone doesn't want to necessarily share their journey. I always said prayer is the strongest weapon that we have. And then knowing that the mom had reached out to me a couple of times for some information, just knowing that it's not something to be shamed. It's not nothing that you would have done wrong. It's just being able to understand that guess what? This is the path that Allah is putting you on. And now let's get the people around you who can help you and who can support you in that. Knowing that, guess what? We don't have to not share it with other people. We don't have to not ask for people not to pray for us. We don't have to not ask for people to help you. You may just need a ride to the doctor's office. You may need someone to sit with you. At no time should you ever have a diagnosis and be alone. You cannot, your mind can't even absorb that kind of information. And sharing with the believers here, and I know most people know that Halima's cousin, Rakaya Bi, who lives in Atlanta, just passed away of metastatic breast cancer. Less than 2 weeks ago, was
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed, got sick, took
On
her
the
to the
18th of
hospital,
April.
and the cancer got so aggressive, and that she passed away at 46 years old. We talked about that. We did a special prayer for this morning on Study Al-Islam, but not being shameful of it, knowing that guess what? I'm doing this because I need help. Halima had so much support and love around her.
She did.
She did, and she wasn't ashamed of it. She wasn't. She just knew that this is the path that she was going on, and Allah help us be strong and us to carry through it. So her legacy will live on forever because we're never going. Allah said, as long as you continue to speak their name, you keep them alive. So we're gonna always keep her alive, and whatever we're doing, we're gonna keep Rakaya alive, and any believers, daughters who have passed on through this horrible disease that's attacking our community, that's attacking our young people. This is not, we knew people older who had cancer, but now they're getting younger and younger in it. So
That's right.
I say this, don't wait until you 40 to get a mammogram. You can advocate for yourself. You can say, no, I've had cancer in my family. I want a mammogram. You can fight for that now, knowing that you can empower yourself and you can fight for this now. And you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait, but don't be afraid to, if someone's telling you no, then you're speaking to the wrong person.
Yes, yes. I'm going to take a pause here because we've got several comments in the chat. Thanking you from Sister Hakima. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for your presentation and sharing your personal experiences. Halima was truly blessed to have a mom and family who loved and advocated for her so fiercely. May Allah bless you and the work that you are doing in her memory and in supporting others in our community who are dealing with this. Sister Brenda El-Amin. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sister Aesha and Ayanna, for this beautiful, heartfelt, and informative presentation. And Sister Anisa, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the wealth of information. We are learning a lot. May Allah continue to bless you. So, this is an important a big important presentation as far as I'm concerned, because my concern is that not just supporting the person through cancer, but what are we going to do, or how can we work toward more preventative measures, right? Now, obviously, you want to eat right, exercise, and do the things that you can do, but so lifestyle is important, right?
Mhm.
Nutrition is important, but there needs to be more advocacy on a governmental level, because things need to change in
Yeah.
the food, in the water, in the environment.
Yeah, I've been reading up on that a lot lately, just in trying to even get grants for the foundation, right?
Yes.
Like, yes, we lean heavy on donations, but I've been looking into trying to get grants. One of the biggest issues that I have with that is that everything has to be research driven, right? And so even if I was to get a grant, I have to put so much of that into research. Um, I am not a fan of FDA approved. When you think about things that are approved here but banned in other countries, one of the biggest ones is red dye number 40. If
So
you're eating something that's red, you need to see if it has red dye number 40 in it, because it is dangerous.
that's right.
Um, Europe and all of these other countries, they don't allow that in their food. And somehow over here, it's a-okay. Um, Mountain Dew, banned in other countries, not here. Um, there is a chemical that they're putting on McDonald's potatoes in Iowa, is why you never see a brown spot on a McDonald's French fry. And when that is sprayed, my understanding is that that area, no one is supposed to walk out in that area for like 5 to 6 weeks. So I can eat
Exactly.
it, but I can't breathe it.
Right.
So
And my
it's
skin can't touch it.
right, right. And that's the thing that I'm struggling with, because with this foundation, I want to help people, but I don't want my money thrown into just researching cancer. That I'm struggling with that. And I think there's an opportunity there once we grow to where we need to be, that maybe we can have a research aspect of it. But I struggle with that, because they have so many grants. And if you're saying that you're doing research, then it's great, but you're only raising money. Susan G. Komen, you get 6 point something million dollars, but it's going towards research and nobody's giving you an answer. No one's giving you any solutions. So I do think it's a lot of the food that we're eating. I think what my mom said too is communication. Um, I had an aunt that had breast cancer years ago. I didn't know. I thought she just had bone cancer. I didn't know that she had breast cancer. So it wasn't discussed. Um,
Right.
and I think that we as Muslims and as women, especially, and I was just having this conversation with my cousin, we need to do these check-ins and we need to have these discussions and say it. It's the hard conversations that people don't like to have, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to have them. We'll talk about, you shouldn't be eating that, you need to lose weight. We're very comfortable with that now. We have gotten to a very comfortable place in society on letting someone know that they need to lose weight. You need to cut back on this and cut back on your carbs and these type of things. And I think it's time for us to make another leap forward. And are you going to the doctor as a woman? Are you getting those mammograms? Are you getting those checks that you need? Because some of these things
Mm-hmm.
are preventative. Um, when I was diagnosed, it was considered stage 0, which
Mm-hmm.
they caught it early enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to do chemo and I didn't have to do radiation. And so that's a blessing. But how many women don't have insurance, don't know to go and get those checks done, and then they're catching it in stage 3 and stage 4 when it could have been prevented in stage 0. So I
Mm-hmm.
think those are the
Mm-hmm.
conversations, you're right, that we have to start having, but that goes along with having those resources, right? One of my biggest goals that I'm trying to get is, when I do the pickleball tournament, they have those mobile vans that do mammograms. I want to
Mm-hmm.
have that van there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have people that I know that are afraid to go get a mammogram. They're just going to go do it. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
keep them away though. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to have that there. So I think that comes with those resources that you're referring to.
I had a very, 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 very dear friend who died of pancreatic cancer a couple years ago, and which is a cancer that's very sneaky.
Mhm.
You know, it can lie dormant for years and years and years, and then boom, your stomach's not feeling good, and then you got 3 months to live. And it was just a very, very sad time for her family, for me, as her very, very dear friend. But at the same time, she was afraid of doctors, so she
Wow.
wouldn't go to the doctor. You know,
Hmm.
and so you know, just reflecting back on the presentation of several weeks ago about caring for the caregiver, we have to bring disease out of the shadows.
Yes.
We have to talk about what's going on,
Hmm.
because that's the only way that first of all, getting the information out, it's so that your children, your grandchildren will know, and they can get those preventative screenings, or at
Hmm.
least screenings that will, like in your case, catch it so early that it was stage 0, so you didn't have to have any treatment for it. you
Right.
know
Hmm.
so yes, we've got a couple of comments, um, uh, from Sister Sadiqa. I wish I knew this information before I had chemo, but then again, I wouldn't have felt how good my scalp feels in the summer. I like that. Sister Samira, thank you so much, sisters, for this beautiful and informative presentation. So much beneficial information for sharing. Um, Brother Kalam, thanks for sharing this knowledge. This information is relatable for men too who can have
Yes,
cancer. That's exactly right. Thank you for bringing that up.
absolutely.
And Sister Sadiqa also says, "Oh, can I say something about mammograms? Instead of mammograms, request an ultrasound because mammograms put a lot of radiation into your body." Excellent point.
Yes.
Sister Sadiqa, would you like to come on screen and make a comment if you want to? Not to put you on the spot. What kind of?
And Gloria,
Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. No, that's all I wanted to say is that I've been doing my own research too, on cancer. I never had cancer, I had sickle cell, but the cure for sickle cell was stem cell transplant. So that's why I had chemo. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of research because I'm trying to avoid that big C. And I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how it's such an unnatural procedure, the mammogram,
Very much so.
and how instead of doing mammograms, a lot of women, especially women of color, are doing ultrasounds, because they're saying how, again, the procedure is such unnatural. It's not a natural, it's not natural for us to do that to our body, and the
True.
amount of radiation is causing cancer. But
Yeah, no, you're
anyway,
absolutely
that's all I want to
correct.
say.
You're correct. And I've had a conversation with a couple of doctors about that. It goes back to what my mom said, though, being an advocate, right? Keep in mind, insurance is going to do what's cheaper. Insurance is going to do what they think is best.
Mhm.
So you have to advocate for that because a lot of times they will do both, right? If the doctor deems that the doctor wants to do it, but you have to present it and say, I don't want to do that. I would prefer to do this. And that's where that advocate comes in. And that's where you have to have your due diligence and your knowledge to be able to do that.
And
knowing
and
family history, Gloria, I want to know
go
your
ahead.
family history. That's so critical to know family history. Like when Ayana didn't know that her aunt passed away of breast cancer. She didn't know that. So those are those hard questions you have to ask. Just knowing your family history is really critical and important.
Yes, 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 yes. I think that with regard to breast cancer in particular, but cancers in general, right?
Mhm.
Anything that you want, and Ayana, perhaps you can speak more about this, but anything that you want in terms of something maybe perhaps alternative, you will, like you getting an ultrasound versus mammogram, you
Mhm.
have to have a rationale for it. You
Yep.
have to be able to present a rationale to your doctor,
Mhm.
because that's all insurance will listen to. They don't want to hear, well, I don't want it. No,
Mhm.
you have to have a reason as to
Mhm.
why. And
You do.
so if you want an ultrasound versus a mammogram, you have to present why. You know,
Right. You have to
I
always
have men's breast,
confirm
and the
this breast
ultrasound
tissue.
is too painful, right? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you have to have a reason why.
Yeah, a prime example of just that advocating for yourself and have a reason. Um, I, with our family history, I was able to convince one doctor, an African American doctor, and to this day, if I get to see her, and I'm about to answer that question where they're saying, is cancer hereditary? I won't necessarily say that it's hereditary. However, there can be a genetic mutation, which I found out I do have. There's BRCA1 and BRCA2. And no doctor would run this genetic test, not one. And I came across an African American female doctor who actually read my family history that they have on all that paperwork they have you fill out. She actually read it. And she asked me the question that I always think is strange. It's like, oh, well, do you and your sister share the same parents? And I'm like, yes, both mother and father. And a lot of times they have a tendency to look at your mother's side and not your father's side. Don't know the science behind that, but that's what they normally do. And because most of the cancer was on my father's side, not most, pretty much all was on my father's side, no one ever wanted to run the genetic test. But once I put my sister down, um, this one doctor, Dr. Young, she's since retired. She was like, no, I can't believe no doctor has ever run this test. I'm going to take you over here. They took a pint of blood about this, a little bit of blood about this much and ran the genetic test. And I came back BRCA2. And I have to keep that paperwork with me. Every doctor that I have gone to in dealing with everything when I was first diagnosed, and she said, and I see that it says here that you're BRCA2, you're going to want to do this and you're going to want to do that. So not only knowing your history, but you got to know your body and you have to know what you know about you. So I won't say that it's hereditary. However, I do carry a mutated gene that doesn't allow my body to fight off cancer cells the same way everybody else's body does. So, and it's in my genetics, which technically I got from one of these sisters on the screen and my dad. But so I don't say that it's not hereditary. It's like my younger brother has a saying where they be like, high blood pressure and diabetes and all of this runs in the family. And my brother's response is no, nobody runs in your family. And that's why you all are carrying that on generation to generation. So I do think that there's changes that you can make, but I do think a lot of it is in our food, and we have to be very conscious of that. With the dairies that we take in, like I said, red dye 40s, sugars, and all of those different things. You just have to be conscious of it because I do think it's avoidable in some cases.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In terms of the hereditary issue, there is a genetic connection. And now that doesn't mean that if you have this, if your grandmother or your, someone else, doesn't mean that you're going to get it. But, there's that genetic connection. And that's a very, very, very complicated discussion, actually.
And
Very complicated. Yeah.
We're talking about breast, but breast cancer is one of those that go mostly undiagnosed in women, as does prostate in men. So they are one and the same when it comes to going undiagnosed. So to the brothers that are on the call, that is an example that you need to do as well. I was actually speaking to someone, we were just talking at the gym in the sauna, and he was saying how doing his colon screening, how they were able to find it and able to save his life. And those are the things that catching it early is key in a lot of cases. And so that's the thing. So as we've discussed breast, I think colon is what falls on the men, although men can have breast cancer as well. And I want to be clear that the foundation, we're not looking at a specific type of cancer. We're just looking at cancer itself and you being in treatment for that. However,
and the foundation will work with men and women.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I say whatever type of cancer you have, we're going to try to work with you. But the key is with men, it's you as women, we have to do those mammograms. We hate them. They are uncomfortable. The prostate is what men, I think is an equal of uncomfortableness for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have to continue to support each other. It's really important. our African American, we step outside our community a lot of time and support other things, but we really have to support what happens within our own community so we can continue to help and support each other through this. So people, Halima her favorite word was friends don't let friends fight cancer alone. And that's really, really important. And if you may not have it or your friend may have, but someone in our lifetime, we're going to know someone who's fighting this disease all by themselves. You know, the brother, and Gloria, I'm going to put you in contact with this attorney who is fighting prostate cancer. Maybe you can bring him on to have a conversation with the brothers about this. So I'm going to put you in contact with him because he's a brother that matched the money. You know, he said, if you raise $1,000, he
Yes,
matched it for us. I'm going to put you in contact with him. So maybe we can
wonderful.
bring him on and talk about it for our men as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think also, just in general with cancer, because we know that brothers don't like to go to the doctor. I'm talking to you. You don't like to go to the doctor. You don't like it. You don't like it, and especially dealing with the prostate because that's a very invasive exam. Just as women with Pap smears, very invasive, but it's something that must be done. And and again, we have to bring disease out of the shadows. We have to. We have to. If we want to survive in this environment, this political environment that we're in, right? We have to bring disease out of the shadows. We got to talk about it. We have to be proactive and, take care of ourselves. Yes. Any other questions or comments? I'm trying to check the chats, make sure I'm not missing anything.
Thank you, Dr. Gloria, for bringing this. I know we've been a little resistant, but thank you so much for being an advocate. Thank you for the support that you gave my family during this whole idea. We're really, I mean, we're family, but thank you so much for being there, always support us, and just the whole community, because I didn't go to this journey alone. But I really felt like I had the entire community behind me when we went through this journey with Halima. And I'm just happy to know that people, that if it can help one person, then I'm happy about that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that this has been such a worthwhile conversation. And I encourage all of you again, Ayanna, can you put the QR code up again? If folks,
I can't put the QR code up, but I will go ahead and put the website.
Okay. So, for those of you who can, and we know that times are hard, it's difficult for a lot of people, again, given this political climate that we're in, when gas is, $15 a gallon practically, or it feels like it, right?
Right. And that's the thing. And that's why the foundation is needed. Because when you got all of these medical bills and all of this point, that's one of the things that we're going to be trying to help with, like transportation, which we were talking about resources. I'm looking for somebody who can get people back and forth to chemo and things like that. So yeah, that's all part of what's going on, man. It's crazy times.
Yes, yes. So copy and paste the Zelle or and the information so that if you don't have it today to give, you can do it when you get it.
And again, we are a grassroots organization. So I do ask that if you see something on the website or you have any recommendations for the foundation, please feel free to go to the contact us page and send that information to me. We are open to learning and seeing how we can be better as an organization to better help people as well.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, this has been wonderful. We got a couple more comments I'll read from Sister Bina. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Sister Latifa Wangara, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for this information. Again, I echo the same. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been great information. And, I just, like to just kind of share again that we've got to do our due diligence to do the best that we can for ourselves, because there's a lot that we're fighting against between the environment and the food and the glyphosate and the chemicals and all the things that are known to be carcinogenic, but yet they're sold in the stores every day. And a lot of people don't have any idea what they're exposing themselves to. And so if you have a mutated gene, you best believe it's going to mutate if you expose it to these carcinogenic, products. So, yes. All right. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate. Let's see, did I miss anybody? Okay. Sister Anissa, thank you. Dr. Gloria, you're so welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can't wait to get my DR initials in front of my name.
There you go.
And
And just a shout out to our Imam, Dr. Imam Tariq El-Amin, and for just being a great leader for Masjid Al-Taqwa, and we have this platform to be able to share. So I'm grateful for that. Sister Monir, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for great information and knowledge. Having gone through the struggles with several members of my family being diagnosed with breast cancer, I can certainly relate. May Allah continue to bless you. Yes, Sister Zahira, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for sharing. So y'all did a good job. Thank you. Thank you. If there are no questions or comments or anyone who'd like to come on screen before we log off, then we will call it a day. Is Imam Tariq online or Imam Bani who'd like to give dua for us? If not, I will do it.
Go ahead, Glow.
You're really good at it. You do it, Imam Bani, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. Wa tawassaw bil haqq. Wa tawassaw bis sabr. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. By the token of time, down through the ages, surely mankind is at loss, except those who have faith and do righteous deeds, and join together in the mutual teachings of truth, and have patience and constancy. Amin.
Amin. Thank you, Imam Rabbani.
Thank you all for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Gloria.
You're welcome. Sister Ayanna, Sister Aesha, you all have done a good deed today.
Yes. Alhamdulillah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Certainly a wealth of information. Very much needed.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you, sisters. Very good presentation.
Thank you all for the information.